He's checking to us.
Not best son.
Yeah, he did a little bit.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the October County Commission meeting. We'll call the meeting to order. Please remind everybody to silence your mobile devices if you've got one. Commissioner Pittman, could you lead us in the indication?
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you, God, for being able to have another day on this beautiful earth, dear Lord. We thank you, God, for guiding us through the storms this weekend, dear Lord. We ask that you be with the families down in Florida, dear Lord, and South Carolina that are struggling and suffering from that storm damage. We ask that you lift them up, dear Lord, and heal those communities. We thank you, God, for the opportunity to serve here in Mitchell County. And we ask that you just provide us with discernment and wisdom, God, to make decisions that suit you, dear Lord. We thank you most of all for your Son who died for our sins. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Commissioner Hart, please.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone, please make yourself aware that ethics, awareness, and confidence, the interest reminder, please. Hearing no comments, do we have any additions or changes to the agenda this evening?
I would like to add item 11B, the TDA appointments for chair, vice chair, and secretary.
A motion, we add TDA appointments as item 11B for chair, vice chair, and secretary. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, vote by the usual sign. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I have one more addition, please.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to add on the right title for discussion, 11 D.
This will be
E.
This is D, yeah, E.
Add John Simmons, forgiveness for tax penalty, like tax penalty inflicted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, vote for the usual sign. Please make note of that addition as 11E, John Simmons, forgiveness for taxes.
Chairman, I move that we add under items of discussion, 11F, temporary energy assistance, ARPA funded employee. Is that right?
I got a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? All in favor, vote for the usual sign. Motion carries. That just note that'll be item number 11F. That is a temporary energy assistance for ARPA funds for DSOs. Having here the additions this evening, do I have moved we adopt the agenda? Second.
Second.
All in favor, vote the usual sign. Motion carries. Item number 8 is the approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? October 20th.
There was one amendment, Commissioner Clinton, that I think needed to be added under 11B. If you look back at the minutes, I have made a motion that we table the appointment of chair, vice chair, and secretary. Now we can make sure that was noted in the minutes since we added it tonight. It's tabled.
Okay. Haven't heard this correction. Clerk, if you could make that correction to those minutes. Once I think we can go ahead and approve the minutes and make that correction if I'm not mistaken. So do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor, vote by the usual sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda this evening is the employee of the month. Miss Candy. You know, I gotta bring in here, make you stand, don't you? I can't just let you sit back here. If you don't mind, just have a stand right there and I'm gonna read this for you. Miss Candy Glenn is our DSS processing assistant. Congratulations, Candy, you've been nominated and selected as the September Employee of the Month winner. This recognition is for going beyond the call of duty. Your role as an administrative assistant on the front desk at the DSS. In addition to your positive attitude, professionalism, and courteous manners, with everyone, this recognition is for your willingness and contributions for stepping up and taking additional duties to cover a vacant position while it's being filled, the willingness to learn and master new skills, being committed to your job and providing consistent support to the DSS clients and staff. Candy's a team player and always willing to support in any way she can for all clients and the entire staff of DSS, no matter the circumstances. Candy remains calm and pleasant to everyone and is willing to take extra measures to inform and assist the public to meet their needs. Candy's always respectful, courteous, and goes above to ensure that the absolute best service is provided to everyone and helps the DSS team thrive. Congratulations on being selected as Mitchell County's Employee of the Month winner for September. On behalf of the county commissioners in Mitchell County, thank you for your ongoing support and taking care of not only the DSS team, but also the DSS clients within the county. I can say that you probably got one of the tougher jobs of anybody, because most of the folks that are coming to visit are not in the best of moods, so they're usually having their worst day. So thank you for what you do up there. I know it's not an easy place to have to manage. So it sounds like you're doing a heck of a good job. So we sure appreciate it. Board, stand up here and help present her with this. Give you this. And we'll get all.
Okay, leave it there. Steve,
Yep.
Jeff,
I'll be right there.
These over here, propaganda. We're trying to make sure we know everything.
got right through, so I think I'm good. You want to get some?
I got it.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you, Doctor. Thanks.
Thank you.
So, good job. Let me give you this here. Thank you, guys. Next item. Yes. Tax collectors report. Good evening, how are you? Very good.
I have for you tonight the collection activity report for September. Total collected is 841, so 1808. And the mortgage holders, the mortgage companies are getting their reports in our files. So we should be starting to see that coming.
So as we move to foreclose on some of these, then the mortgage companies basically have to reach out to you to, is that?
I'm not talking about all the
These would be at
22 escrow
escrow
accounts.
funds.
Gotcha, thank you, gotcha.
Mortgage those. As far as the foreclosures, you would have to give an update on the total. Grand total today is $153,394. This would be the
That's awesome. And that's we started this back July.
September.
That's, so in 3 months, we've collected $153,000 for Mitchell County. That's awesome. Thank you.
And the attorney concept still continuing filing judgments, then we're still going forward.
That's great. And that's good news.
And wage garnishments and all the programs we can do.
It's excellent. Thank you for that number. You don't care to keep bringing those up,
I will.
that'd be
I'll
excellent.
do that.
Thank you, Ms. Jesse. Any questions for Ms. Jesse?
do you have any idea what percentage of our taxpayers are escrow?
The percentage,
Well over half.
Well, over half.
so we're getting to be very busy next 3 months.
State Boys Credit Union probably being the largest one, and I think it exceeds 800 or 900,000.
Thank you. Next on the agenda tonight is our friends from Mosen. A little bit of update on our law enforcement center. We appreciate you guys coming tonight.
Sorry, I don't hear you.
That's all right, I got a big voice. First, we really appreciate the opportunity. We have enjoyed working with y'all since day one. Just tonight, just give you a little bit of an update on what all we've accomplished thus far. Jason Hopkins with me is our project manager on that. He's the one that does all the work. I just get to report. I'm gonna turn this over to Jason.
Get a bigger head. He's the.
Yeah, kind of.
So I got.
Trust me, you don't want me drawing what you. He's the guy that does all that, but he'll tell you kind of where we're at right now. Sure.
Thank you. So going to give you a little bit of an update about kind of what we have been up to, what we've been working on, and a little bit about where we're heading. And Todd will also talk a little bit more about our projected timeline for the project as well. So we are definitely off and running, moving the project forward quickly, which is really good. We started off, as you heard our last presentation, we assisted the county with sites evaluations and ultimately site selection. So during that process, we won't get all into the nitty gritty of everything we've already talked about, but we ultimately looked at 5 sites. And out of those, we thought that one kind of stood out above the others as being good fit for this project and for the county as well. So that's the quality apparel building we've been working on. I mean, some of the things about that site that made it good is, number one, other sites you're looking at are already spending tons of your budget on site work. And so obviously we have a site and a building already. There's no grading earthwork to contend with. Utilities are in place, utilities are good, we have gas, we even have compressed air. So that's kind of like a bonus for it as well. The building itself, it exceeds the size we really need for the total program, which is great because it gives you built-in expansion in the same facility. So evidence needs to grow down the road. You're knocking out a wall, not adding on to the building, that sort of thing. Parking is pretty decent also, so there's room to do what we need to do on site. Whatever that ultimately ends up, we all determine what needs to be. So after that, we went into what we kind of call the programming phase. This is more gathering information, talking with the sheriff and talking with his staff. What are all the needs for the building? What are the needs now? What are they in the future, so that we don't build this out and then on day one, they've kind of grown out and all that. So planning for some future expansion is good as well. So we created that programming document, passed it back and forth, kind of vetted it to make sure it was correct. From there, we moved into doing some concept plan options. So we've gone through a couple different versions of those. We've talked with the sheriff and his staff, and so now we're honing in on kind of more of a final solution for that as well. We've evaluated the building pretty thoroughly at this point. I was actually on site this morning with our engineers. So they were reviewing and documenting all the existing systems, trying to see what can be used, what might need to be replaced. I'll hopefully get a report from them later in the week. Also with that, in the near future, we hope to finalize this concept plan. We met with the sheriff again today and his staff. We had some great input from people who are actually using the building, about how we can tweak it to better meet their needs, which is, never quite an easy thing. We deal with counties like this all the time, and people are so used to working in something that doesn't quite meet their needs. They're thrilled to get, something that's going to function for them better. But we're really trying to make them say, look, this is your opportunity to get this thing right, to get it to meet your needs now and in the future. And that's kind of what we're honing in on. So that will kind of wrap up our initial phase of design, like what we call our schematic phase. And we'll move into the second phase if we start having a lot more detailed design meetings. So we're gonna bring our interior designers in, not to talk about colors, but they talk about furniture placement so that we can ultimately coordinate that with all the electrical and data that needs to go in the building, all of the different finishes for the floors and walls, ceilings, everything like that. We'll also meet with our engineers again, so they can document and meet with the county's maintenance staff, IT personnel, of course, the sheriff also and his staff, and figure out how we're going to do the systems for the building that need to be updated. We'll also meet with our security engineers. You're going to have cameras, card access, things like that in the building. And we have in-house security engineering, so they're going to work with the sheriff and get all the cameras exactly where we need them to be in the project. After that, we'll move into, well, and let me also add that every time we wrap up the design phase, we will, come before you to ask for permission to continue and update you on the progress of the project. Work at your pleasure, of course. When we move into our final design phase, that's really more of a documentation phase, so it's less meeting intensive. The middle phase is where we gather most of the information. This is drawing all the little details you need to put the building, any alterations to it, anything like that. Written specifications, detail out all the quality levels of everything we're doing. And then we will put together bidding documents after that. So we'll write all the front end bidding documents, get the county attorney to review whatever we're going to put in there. And then we will be in a position to competitively bid the project. So put it out on the street, advertise it anywhere 30 to 45 days, set a date for open bids. And then we would, and I'm kind of getting into some of Todd's part here with the timeline. So I'll turn it back over to Todd to kind of discuss that process.
Also, at each one of those phases that Jason mentioned, we'll update a cost estimate. So that way, we refer to these, but design development, and that's where we take this conceptual drawing that we have now and just kind of flesh it out more, identify the different systems that have to go in. So we'll do a cost estimate there, bring that back before you, so you can see it. And then when we get to the construction document phase, we'll do a last estimate. So you'll see here, so if it's more than you want to spend, you can say, wait a minute, we gotta cut something out before it becomes a change order in the field. We don't like that word either. So that's kind of where we be at with the assessments.
I want to say one thing, Jason touched on that, and I want the folks at home to understand, you touched on the 5 sites that we looked at. And, various pieces of each one of those sites, you're looking at anywhere from a $1 to $2 million, site prep. That was going to, and our budget's $5 million for this project. That really is doing anything with just preparing the property. If you don't know, we got to buy the property, then we got to prepare it. So, this site with your guys' help, I think was a home run for Mitchell County, not having to take that money and dump it into that when, this building is in great shape. So I just wanted to point that out for anybody that didn't realize that process and how we ended up where we ended up. I'm tickled to death with that property. And I think Donald's team is as well. So that's, that's a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the sites, even this one was not in the 500-year floodplain. So that some of the other sites was $1 million and a half just getting the civil work done before you ever thought about building. So you're $1.5 million into your $5 million before you ever.
And then we got to buy the property.
And then your question, then you got to buy the property. So, and a lot of the other sites were in the floodplain.
Yeah. That's a great point.
We try to stay out of that if we can. So this schedule that I'm gonna talk to you about, it can be shortened, but this is just where we're at right now. This is where we've been, because there's so many unknowns at this point, because we're really just getting started. We've met twice, I think, since we saw y'all the last time. We've been working on it, but we think that we'll be finished with design and permitting, hopefully by April, May 23. And then that allows it to go out to bid to contractors, and May or June. And then award after your county attorney reviews all the contracts and all that stuff with the general contractor. Award that July, August, and then construction starting in September, which September is a really good month to start construction. You know, if it would have been November or December, we probably would have said, let's push this back, because November and December are not good months to start construction. You got holidays and you got a lot of inclement weather, so usually those are not good months. With construction complete July, August, and then move in August, September. So with all of that, we're looking at probably a total of 18 months. And we think that it can be done well within that time frame. But kind of like with estimates, we kind of like to give you more and use less, and then give you less and need more.
So the 18 months is really like a from today type number. And we can hone that construction duration as we get more of the scope narrowed down. We're guessing it might be 10 to 12 months of construction. We would talk with contractors and try to identify what are the long lead items you're seeing right now? How long do they take to get? All those sort of things in fact.
Any questions for these guys? I'm super excited. I think everybody else is too. So thank you guys for coming and bringing that to us today.
Absolutely. I will say that your county manager is a lot easier to get in touch with than my wife. I mean, I probably have talked to you every week since we started this.
We've got, once this bill is over, I just think I'm gonna call them about every week. What's going on? I don't know what to do myself.
We'll talk to building a little bit. We talk deer hunting a little bit.
Yeah.
We might have fun when we can. Just keep you in Mixon County for a little while.
That's fine. I told him today, I've been coming up here for years, and Mason's office is as far down this hallway as I've ever been. Maybe the first time I've seen this room, I've been coming up here for meetings.
Yeah, I say, here's what you're presenting.
Oh, okay. I've never seen it. But we
Well,
really,
Mason's office is the one with the monkey, right?
It wouldn't stop by.
she can probably tell you, it's been several years that we've been coming up here. Probably 3 or 4, well, you had a couple county managers a couple times. But we appreciate it.
Yeah,
And
thank you
if
so
you
much.
got any questions after tonight, and Alan knows how to give us.
Sounds great. Thank you,
Appreciate
guys.
it.
Thank you.
We're
Y'all drive safe.
Safe.
Thank you, sir.
Don't have any public comments tonight. Any board comments? Hearing none, we will move on to the next item on the list tonight. That is the Mitchell County Board of Education permit waiver request.
On a little bit too. I think that Chad had asked that the county waive permits for building. And I think we did a cost analysis of what that would entail. And the cost analysis was that made us 21,000.
21,000, the
And
permits fall.
that's for the permit fees. Now, then there's the man hours of the inspection. And staffing, that's about 1/5 of his budget, would you say? So there's
Yeah,
few-
that's almost 25% of his budget, $21,000.
of Tommy's.
So Tommy's revenue that he normally takes in a year will run you around 100 to 120,000 on a good year of permit and inspection fees. That's his revenue. So if you pull 21, that's a good size chunk.
So I would say this is at the pleasure of the board for discussion, and I would that's something you all just would need to discuss, and we can go from there. But it was Chad wanted that to be, he wanted that asked, he wanted to put that on our agenda.
Okay, manager, a couple questions. Do you know if the town of Spruce Pine is waiving any of their fees for Piedmont or French Broad or any of those entities?
I have not heard, that would be interesting to know if the other folks are waiving their fees, or if they were, that would be a good measure on everybody's part, not just us, but yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
Well, that was the same question
Harley, that I was gonna ask. My recommendation right now to this board, because of that very question, is a vote on this be tabled until the Mitchell County Board of Education has talked to French Broad about no charge for running power to that site. Until Piedmont Gas is decided to waiver their expenses for natural gas to the property. And to the town of Spruce Pine for a water and sewer tap that is outside the city limits, which should be a sizable fee to get tapped. And if all four of those players that I've just mentioned are willing to waive all of their fees, then I would like for it to be brought back to us, county commissioners, for reconsideration. My opinion is, if those folks, it would be hard for me to support this if none of the other players, maybe all of the other players did not waive their fees. We are going to absorb one of our employees' salary for 1,000 hours. Number one, I think county government has been very generous on a very expensive piece of property that we are giving away or donating to the school system for an exchange for an aging 50+ year aging set of buildings and property. So my recommendation right now to this board that this vote be tabled until, number one, we have more information from all four of those entities. And then if those entities agree to waive all of their fees, not part of their fees, but all of their fees, like we've been asked to waive, then I would like it to be brought back to the board for more discussion about it. Mr. Chairman, I'll put that in form of a motion if nobody else has discussion. Well, I just like to add, I see what happened with the SRO grant too, to kind of get a final tally of what the taxpayers contribute to the school from the county perspective. That'd be, for me, that'd be some useful information if we want to pay that match or if that's not going to be.
Here's the results of that, right? It's not.
Maybe it's talked a little bit.
I had asked Kim Hodgson because I had heard it was supposed to be in September, but when we met with them the day that you and I and Alan went out there, she had not heard from them.
Mhm.
So I have not heard of them today. It's the first working day of October. I will follow up with her sometime this week and see if they've heard anything. I would hope that as soon as they hear, they would let us know. But we've not heard.
I'm curious, maybe you're probably the only one in this room that would know this at this point, but has the county ever waived inspection fees before for any entity or partnering entity of the county?
Not in the 22 years I've been here, we've not, but. No.
So we're waiting for the hotel.
Mm-mm.
You know, that's one area, guys, that you can get into. Because if you've got a standard's a standard. Once you break that standard, then there may be a whole lot of times you got to consider breaking that standard. So, you know, I'll just say that too. Well said, Commissioner Hall.
I'd like to ask our county attorney, I know he worked with the Watauga school bill. Is it common in what you've seen that counties would waive inspection fees for new school bills?
So you can legally waive, from a legal standpoint, and I'm sorry, my microphone's not got batteries, I don't believe, but I can speak up if you need. Legally, you can't do that for another. Start over. All right, thank you. Thank you. From a legal standpoint, it is permissible for a government entity to waive fees for another government entity. From a policy perspective, it is within your discretion to do that. I've known some entities that have done that before, and I've known others where the providing entity has charged for its services. So it really is a matter of discretion and the consideration of the commissioners whether or not you wish to waive it or not waive it.
So we got a motion on the board here to do that. Yeah, I don't have any idea on timing. I don't think it's going to affect any of their timing.
From what they told us, they're not planning on breaking it down for the end of March, first of April sometime was gonna be their ribbon cutting. That was what I heard when, county manager and
That's what we got on out there too. So
because we asked. So apparently there's not a push for time.
I think we got time to investigate this. County manager, if you can look into that for us and get that information. That'd be excellent. Got a second on the motion? A second on Jeff's motion.
With the motion at the table?
Yes.
I'll say, on the table. Might as well hold back.
And just to add in here, so I'm not planning on having the meeting the second second meeting of this month. I was planning on canceling that if everybody's okay with that with the candidate forum. So,
I'm on the table to hear somebody else, or I want them to be contributing that.
should probably be November before we'll hear that information. So it's just so everybody's aware of that, if everybody's good with it. Next item on the list this evening is the, the High Country Workforce Board appointments. So this one, we've talked about, we've got two folks that are going to do this. So one is from BRP. It's Curtis Taylor. He's the, I think he's the interim plant manager there now. He was glad to take that on. The other one, I was talking to Bud Young, and Bud actually mentioned Scott Reese, who is the HR manager at the Courts Corp. So the key to these appointments, this board it's pretty inactive, I guess is what I would say. In the past, they only met once a year. And so I don't know how effective you can be really meeting once a year. And so the board decided that they were going to change that and really try to become a little more of an active participant in the local, counties. So they're going to be meeting, I think it's once a quarter. So to try to get some more action there. So I'll make the motion that we appoint Curtis Taylor and Scott Reese to this board.
Second.
All in favor, vote by the usual sign. Motion carries. Next one on the list tonight is late applications pending board approval. So that would be our tax collector. Blair, hello.
Well, how we doing? First time. So we had 13 applications come through that met the criteria for exclusion through the elderly or disability. And you all got a list of those, so get the green light, we'll process the paperwork, make it happen.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Chairman, as part of that motion, the board would need to find good cause for each of the late applications. So that would need to be part of your motion.
Motion say
Based on criteria and qualification of these applications, I make a motion that we accept
find good cause.
and find good cause for accepting them.
Yes.
And just for clarification's sake, we asked Claire to do this about 3 months ago, correct?
Couple months.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will keep my second.
We had kind of went on a education campaign and tried to get it out to the public a little bit. What we've done in the past.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, vote for the usual sign. Motion carries. Next item on the list to see is the TDA appointments. I make a motion that Harley Masters be the chair for the new TDA board.
I'll second that.
All in favor, vote with the usual sign. Motion carries. Like to make a motion that Matthew Ward as the vice chair for the new TDA board.
I'll second that.
Vote for the usual sign. Motion carries. And finally, we would like to make a motion that Miss Libby Phillips would be the secretary for the new TDA board.
And I will second that.
Everybody vote for the usual sign. Motion carries.
I'm very happy that she volunteered for that one.
I don't know which one you guys are gonna be.
We drew draws.
Yeah, I don't know which one the water lost to that, but thank you for doing that. I know that'll be a job getting that kicked off, so I can't think of anybody better to do it.
I will say this, there's been a lot of excitement in the community since the formation of this. So a lot of positive backfoot.
Yes.
Very positive.
I've heard a lot of good stuff too, so, yeah. Seems like we're moving in the right direction there. Next item on the list this evening is Mr. John Simmons. Forgiveness of the tax. I think we had some information that came in that we didn't have the last time, I don't believe so.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, since that issue was on our agenda, a lot of new learnings and information about the circumstances behind this, I'd like to make a motion that we forgive this based on good, Mr. Eggers.
Good calls.
Good calls.
Forgive the penalty.
Yes, thank you.
I'll second that.
All in favor, vote by the usual sign. Motion carries. Item number F this evening is the temporary energy assistance through ARPA for DSS. I'll let Mr. Pittman speak on that one.
At our last DSS meeting, I think, Wendy come to us with the idea that she would use ARPA funding she got from the state to hire a interim energy assistance worker and use those funds for that. And I think, in my recollection, serves me correct, I think we gave her our blessing, but we didn't officially vote on it in the,
I do remember that. Yep. I do remember
so
that.
with that said, I move that we allow her to use the ARPA funds to hire an interim part-time energy assistant worker until those funds are depleted.
Second.
All in favor, vote for the usual sign. Motion carries. Next, item on the list tonight is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, vote for the usual sign. Motion carries. Next item tonight is the finance officer report. It's made its parts. Grizzled veteran of Venture County. Finance. We appreciate it.
I've already given you, I rushed today and did the month to date reports. I think you've already got it. If you have any questions, you can continue about those, but really, when it's the first of the month like this, I'm struggling to get much out to you other than those simple reports. The one thing I will tell you is that Friday, first email came out on Thursday concerning some more ARPA funding from a separate pot of money that's going to go to some local counties that have federal lands that have been eligible in the past for PILT money, payment in lieu of taxes, and counties that have tribal lands. And then when the email came out Thursday, I was thinking a lot about it because the way it's worded, and I'll be glad to share it with you, it really didn't explain. They just said local assistance for some counties. So Friday, when I got on the call for a regular ARPA call, they went into a little bit more detail on this. And actually, Mitchell County is going to get, for the next 2 years, we're going to get two payments. One supposedly this year and one next year of $62,194.36. And that's for a total of, for the total funding, and this pot of money is going to be $124,388.72. The only this is about as far as I've got with this one. I don't know the qualifications yet. I don't know, we've been told briefly on the call Friday that it will probably have the same upfront paperwork that we had to do for the original ARPA money, but I don't have that list exactly. Number two, supposedly the restrictions on how you can spend it's going to be a little bit more lenient. Basically, anything that we are legally by state and federal guidelines to spend, we can spend this money on. Again, I don't have a lot of details. The only thing I did do is I went into the federal government portal and clicked our name and clicked that we acknowledge we've got the money, and that's as far as I've got. So I'm sure we'll have more stuff coming down on this. Hopefully it won't be as much paperwork, but we'll bring it to you in the coming meetings and get your approval on it if there is. And I wish I could say that we didn't have to open a separate bank account and all that, but because I know it's a lot of money, but it's also not a lot of money when you have to do a separate bank account for $62,000 a year, and we'll probably spend it pretty rapidly in the next 2 years, and so we just have to close it. But if we do, we will, and I'll let you know that. I wish I had more details today, but I don't have a lot because I've not had time to do any more research. I would say by our next ARPA call, we will probably be getting some more information and have time to research this plot. I don't even know, have you heard about this one, Attorney Eggers? Have you heard about this new pot that's coming out?
I've not read any of the paperwork that's through, but I'm sure the federal government will have plenty of rules and regulations.
Yeah, I am too. I am too. We're just glad we'll take it. I've accepted the fact that we're going to participate. So that's as far as I've got. Does anybody have any other questions? Nothing else tonight? Thank you.
Thanks.
Original finance professional. We appreciate that report. Next on the list is our novice county manager.
You know, this guy, it's a little bit novice. You know, I'll tell you with this, new job here, it's great to have a good team around me. They've been great, the commission board here, always patient with me, a good finance manager, new attorney that's, giving some good guidance, got a good tax person, law enforcement around me. I'm getting a crash course in building big properties. Now, my dad taught me how to build my house. I built my own house, but I've never built a law enforcement center or a recreation center. So I'm getting this big picture building. My project might have been about a $50,000 project when I built my house. This is a $5 million project. So it's really interesting and fun, and I'm really learning a lot. So today we were doing some drilling for core sampling on our dirt, and that was for the recreational center. So we have a site that was the original site of the recreation center that we did some drilling on, and special projects manager Heiss, Stan Cook, Brock Duncan, myself wanted to also take a look at the site of the old 911 facility, because our site at the first facility had a bedrock at 3 foot in one point and 12 foot in the back section that was overfilled by silt. So basically the amendment to that is a layer of gravel on top of the bedrock so water can flow, and then compacted soil. Those amendments would cost a lot of money. So of course, I'm all about cost analysis. So a little bit of drilling here can give us some cost analysis. And today they drilled and get some initial reports that the ground is very buildable. We're not finding water. The dirt's checking out, looking good. I didn't get the final 2 drill holes because I was with Mosley on the law enforcement center build. So we'll get some data on that. And through that data, we can do a cost analysis on 2 potential sites And to put that in perspective, if one of these sites costs $500,000 to amend the soil and get the site right, well, that just sucked up our SCIF grant, whereas if the other one doesn't. So we're wanting to get that cost analysis in place, so you all will have data to make a really good data-driven decision on where you want your sites. So that's to come maybe in November. I'll have some geotech reports and we can kind of break that down for you. Talking a little bit about the GREAT grant. The GREAT grant was New French Broad Electric. It was a federal grant. And it basically put $3 million into getting broadband on French Broad's lines, which covers, if you're under French Broad Electric, you're watching by YouTube live stream, then over the next couple of years, they're going to update those lines to make them high-speed internet access on those lines. So just kind of a little bit of a informational point right there I wanted to give to everybody. You know, look for another option on internet in the next 2 years as that grant comes into implementation. Law enforcement, as you know, Mosley was here today. Been spending a lot of time with them getting this site customized to the needs of our law enforcement. I really like how they're doing the planning and bringing in the folks that are going to be using that day to day. And Sheriff Street, all his staff have been really good to provide valuable input in there, and that's huge. That's just great whenever I can get them all in the room and they can say, hey, this is what we want. We had the architect there today. They were talking to the architect about what their processes were and how they ran through their day-to-day work. So we were able to do a lot of changes to the plan to make it maybe more customized for the needs. And this is not just a law enforcement for the next 5 years. We hope this is a law enforcement center for the next up to 100 years. So we're hoping that that's going to be a long-term build. Finally, I know on our last meeting, I was fact-finding and working with our attorney. We brought Mr. Eggers on, Poor Eggers, as our county attorney. Glad to have him, and I have him working on our middle school MOU for the trade of Bowman with the property of the green property where the new middle school is going to be built. And I know he's reaching out to the school board attorney. So there's some work being done on that. With that said, I know that that was something that we talked about the last time about getting that paperwork and that documentation all in line so we can have a good streamlined build, that everything's delineated out, all the legalities are there where we don't have as many gray areas. We're working on that right now. So I do want y'all to know that that's the other thing on the plate. So I got 3 big projects that's taken a lot of my time on that, in addition to just doing our day-to-day stuff. But those are exciting projects. They're going to change the face of Mitchell County. I mean, when this board walks away 2 years from now, 4 years from now, however long it be, there's going to be some new things on the ground that our citizens will hopefully benefit for many years to come. So it's busy times, but exciting times. And that will conclude my county manager report.
I appreciate that. For a novice county manager, I was asking to be like you're getting pretty
Thrown
good
in the fire. Yeah, I'm trying to get rid of
that. I don't know if many county managers that's ever stepped into the role and had as much stuff that's coming at them as you've had and pick it up. It's pretty telling of your character and your work ethic, because I know it ain't easy. And we appreciate it.
Appreciate y'all.
Next on our item tonight, we do have on here for our attorney's report. I just would say, I would welcome Mr. Poor Eggers. We really appreciate, you coming down and taking on our business with us. Poor old Dean, he's probably getting some rest. He's probably watching at home right now thinking, my gosh, I have to sit down there. We've had some pretty long meetings and, we like to talk about stuff, so we welcome you to the team and are really excited about what you bring. And like you say, you really have specialized in and government, law. So, you know, that's not just a niche you can go find just anywhere, and we're really glad to have you part of the team.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a pleasure to be here with you folks. I appreciate your confidence in me. I know I've had a chance to meet with Mr. Cook and also a number of department heads and several of you, and it's been a pleasure to do so so far. And Mr. Cook's correct. I'm in the process of trying to catch up with the school systems attorney. We had a conference call earlier today that was scheduled, and he had a matter arise, so we're going to need to reschedule that. But we are working on making sure we're on the same page, and hopefully will help make that process go as smoothly as possible with the school system, amongst all of the other projects that you've got going on as well.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
I don't think we have any need for a closed session this evening. Board comments, Commissioner Fitton.
I'll just, say today I was speaking with Mike Peterson, who drives a bus for Mitchell County Schools. He was expressing some concern to me over a lack of guardrails up on the parking lot. So there's a few spots that I've seen them, but he's down like dangerous. One for not to ask our county manager with the rest of the board to maybe reach out to our DOT rep and see what we can do.
Yeah, I'm fine with
Mr. Manager, as you do that, I know I worked on this about 6 years ago and it was denied by the state. But could you also bring it up that there is a lack of guardrails on Highway 80 as well? And there's been a couple of accidents over there. There's pretty bad accidents and some pretty huge drop-off places that needs guardrails. So if you could add that to that list.
I will do so. I had a good contact, but he may have gotten promoted, so yes.
And also, this concerns the state DOT.
We're all together on this.
If you're listening, you opened up the camera.
Well, this has probably been going on 6 or 8 months. There's some very needed striping. In the little Switzerland area, especially going up, the parkway to, back down to, that's the 26, yeah. And it's, I've actually been up there when I got the complaint. I don't see how you barely see it today. But at night, there's no distinct markings, center of the road on the sides. And the last time that they were talked to, they were anticipating doing paving up there, and they were gonna wait until they got the paving. But if the paving's not been, if we could encourage them before cold, bad weather, at least get some lines marked for safety reasons.
Oh, just a FYI, and I know I might be speaking out of turn on this, but we did get the welcome to Mitchell County sign installed at the parkway and 226 as you come off into that part of the county.
Yeah, it looked good. Maybe a little weak.
That's what I put up, clean out around Mitchell County sign.
Put a tree out. I know it's not, when I was coming by. But it looks good.
If I get my crew out there, we're gonna knock that out.
Yeah, it won't take a second to knock that off.
We're gonna go from the spruce pine sign back to the Mitchell County sign.
Thank you.
We'll just tear it up.
I'll take that off my list.
I didn't say we wanted not you.
Oh, well, I'll leave it on there.
I'm kidding you.
No, I'll find it.
Mr. Matt?
I just wanted to give you guys a brief recap of how our meeting with the PDA, organizational meeting, I guess is what you'll call it. So our first official meeting will be, next week. So we're gonna be very aggressive and meet twice a month until we can get, a lot of stuff sorted out. I know our next agenda, I've been working on, getting our dates and locations and times. Alan's gonna be helping us come up with some bylaws that he's drafted from Rutherford County and a few other counties. And we're gonna come up with a conflict of interest paper that each of us need to sign, a financial protocol, goals, and develop a budget all for this year's over. So
Good luck, and thank you for taking that on. I know it's a,
The whole group is very excited, and like you guys said, we've got a lot of positive feedback from out in the county, so all good stuff.
Harvey, you might mention that these meetings are public, they're open meetings, and they will be advertised 48 hours prior to meeting day. Like the meeting's on, so.
Yeah, so anybody didn't hear that, well, these are our open public meetings and they'll be advertised 48 hours prior to the meeting. That was, Commissioner Hart,
I'm good, sir.
Commissioner Grass.
Just as has already been said, I want to welcome Counselor Eggers. I know that Mitchell County is very fortunate to have your government expertise here on this board. I wish that my tenure wasn't closing as fast as it is. I'd like to work with you a little longer, but welcome and thank you for your willingness to serve the county and its citizens.
Sure, it's not. I don't have any comments this evening. Like I said, we are planning on canceling the second meeting of the month this month, so we will send that notification out and hope everybody can attend the candidate forums at the courthouse. It's at 6 o'clock, so it's the same time our normal meeting is the third Tuesday at 6 o'clock.
I think it's the 18th.
I believe
It is.
the 18th, yeah. So if you can, yeah, please come out and support and learn a little bit about your candidates. Anything from the county manager this evening? I'm doing good. Everything's good. Do I have a motion to be adjourned? So, okay. And 8 o'clock. Man, look at that.
Yeah.
That's what I was, so where I said, can we move new world?